So, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to welcome Dr. Sharan Patil, founder, Sparsh Group of Hospitals, Chief of Orthopedic Services. He is an orthopedic surgeon. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, thunderous round of applause, please welcome Dr. Sharan Patil. Operational excellence in medical practice is the topic which is going to talk about. Doctor, we welcome you for Thai HealthCon 2.0, and we are honored to have you here.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for inviting me amongst this very, very dynamic group of people. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I think we have had very heavy-duty sessions since the morning. People must be exhausted listening and thinking and worrying and speculating what's coming next, where each one of us are going, and I can see some young people at the back. What are we getting into? Are we these young doctors at crossroads? What's happening to our profession? What is this entrepreneurship all about? Multiple things going through the minds of the people. It's been a very, very stimulating morning, I should say. It is lunchtime. We'll see how we can cover a few things before we go for lunch. I was invited here to talk about entrepreneurship. You've heard Dr. Ajay Kumar talk about scaling and the global scene, the national scene, and everything else. And let me go through some very basic things about entrepreneurship. That's what I thought will be interesting to talk about today morning. I still think being a doctor is a blessed thing, and it is a blessed profession. I know in the audience there are other people connected with healthcare, and everybody connected with healthcare are blessed for many reasons. One of it, as a doctor, you can be anything you want to be. You can be a teacher, you can be a scientist, you can be a clinician, an entrepreneur. That's what we are going to be talking about today, a social worker. And the last one, which I put it up here as an interesting part of a story, is a sadhu with a magic touch. This literally happened to me. One of my days in the operation theatre, suddenly there was this Swamiji who came in to the operation theatre lounge, and my nurses told me there's a Swamiji who has come to meet you in the lounge, and he was all of this long beard with a kavi, and he stepped in, and usually, traditionally, we all touch the feet of the Swamiji who comes in. So went down to touch his feet, and suddenly he held me and hugged me and said, "I am Chandru." And I said, "Who's this Chandru?" "He's one of my classmates." And this gentleman had finished his MBBS, and he was one of the most notorious guys I've had in the class. And he's not very far from where we are talking today. He's a Swamiji today. I thought, this is magic. Imagine if you got this long beard and kavi and sitting there, and somebody brings a small child with high fever or cold or cough. You just powder up paracetamol and give it, and the child gets cured. You become a god. And I think it's a great, for a doctor, this could be the last resort to be what he wants to be. When you are a doctor and you want to become an entrepreneur, and Hubli is the seed of entrepreneurship, as all of us have been talking about. When you are a doctor and you want to become an entrepreneur, what is it all about? This is a very interesting simile. One of my technicians told me, "Sir, this is like going from a girlfriend to getting married. You got to be a consultant when you are a doctor and practicing your profession. You go around doing your job. You're a very responsible person. You do your job. You're committed to the relationship, but you still don't run the house, do you? With a girlfriend, you don't. But once you get married, you have to worry about the electricity bill. You have to worry about the ration. You have to worry about the school admission. You have to worry about a million things. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. When you start an enterprise, it is not all about yourself. It is a million things more than what you do to yourself. So you have to be prepared for this. Before you get married, you are committing yourself in something much bigger than just what you were with a girlfriend. The way to go about. I thought I'll spend 10 minutes talking about how to go about being an entrepreneur. Many of you are already entrepreneurs. Many of you want to be entrepreneurs. What is it all about? I really think this is a journey which can be quite arduous. This is a journey which can be very complex. You are going to have, I call it, high highs and low lows. You can have extraordinary successful days. You can have dreadfully low times. When you have this big ups and downs, you need confidants. You need your family. So you need your family to go with you in your decisions. And only then you can hold on to these ups and downs more comfortably. That's so important. You need friends you can count on. I don't mean financially. That really is the end of friendship, to be honest. You need friends from different spheres of life. You need a friend who can advise you on finances. You need a friend who can help you with infrastructure building. You need a friend who can tell you about supply chain. There are a million things which a doctor is never trained for in medical school, which you have to do. You need to have reliable friends with whom you can start with. I think it is fantastic to start yourself aspiring to be somebody. The easiest thing for anybody is to imitate success. So imitation of success in its fullness is a wonderful thing to do without shame. Success happens because of many practices, many things. So you need to have role models. You need to have an institution as a role model. I want to be like that institution. And then it becomes easier for you to shape yourself to get there. That role model might change with time, that's another aspect, but you need to start somewhere. You need to have individuals or individual who can be a role model like whom you want to be. When we started Sparsh Hospital for us, we were an orthopedic and a plastic surgery hospital. We looked up to Ganga Hospital as a national role model for us. You have international benchmarks, you have national benchmarks, that's what you want to be. You look up at people who have done a great job of this and see that's how we want to do it. One needs to understand the difference here. When you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader. As a doctor, first of all, you are a leader. Each one of you sitting in this room, any person has got entrepreneurship within them, and leadership is something which it's a natural accomplice of entrepreneurship. But there are two kinds of leadership. There is task leadership and there is people's leadership. All the politicians you have met over the last 2 days, the way they mingle, they multitask, they talk to everybody, they listen to everybody, and they spend their days, evenings and nights with people, spending all the time listening to them and participating in social events, going everywhere, being a great friend, very popular, day and night being there for everybody. That is people's leadership. That's a different leadership. But what you need for an entrepreneur is a task leadership. You need to have your task in front of you. You need to know how to use maybe a harsh word, but you need to know how to harness the talent of everybody around you to achieve your task. And that task leadership is the basic grain of any entrepreneur. You need not be popular. You need to be able to achieve the task you have set out to achieve. That's what task leadership is about. And never ever one should think when you're running an enterprise, people are working for you. People are not working for you. People are working for the cause of the entrepreneur. What is this entrepreneur stands for? What is he trying to achieve? That is what everybody with you are working for. The moment you think they're all working for you, that doesn't go too far. The aim is to be much larger than the person who's running the show. The entrepreneur is not the organizational goal. Organization is much bigger than any individual entrepreneur. The wrong reasons. One should never become an entrepreneur for these reasons. In my view, these 6 are the bane of an entrepreneur. And I'm telling you, 90% of the time, this is why one becomes an entrepreneur. And that's why 90% of the time an entrepreneurship fails. You should never become an entrepreneur out of jealousy. You see somebody else doing it, I can You feel very jealous about what he is able to do and you want to do it. Wrong reason. You cannot do it because you envy somebody. You don't feel, oh, this guy is having a better life externally, that's why you want to do it. You should not do it out of anger. Somebody has sacked me from a hospital, I'm going to open a hospital exactly next to him and kill him. That anger is not the way one should become an entrepreneur. And you should never do it for vengeance. I'm going to slash my prices down so that I can run down the other person's hospital, and that's not the way you want to do it. You should never do any business, I'm not talking about only hospital sector, but any business as a bailout option. One unit of yours is sinking down, you're going down badly, I'll open a second unit so that I can bail out my first unit. What a disastrous idea. If you can't do the first one right, it's highly unlikely you'll do the second one right. You'll get into deeper trouble. And lastly, it should never be done out of greed. Of course, there is a thin line between ambition and greed. Ambition comes from within, greed comes out of comparison, and it has to come from within. And one should never do it out of greed. You should feel passionate, you should feel inspired, you should have a great idea why you want to be an entrepreneur. You should chase that idea, you want people to go along with you for that idea. You should be ready to work the hardest. You should be the first one to come and last one to leave. They told me when I was working at Manipal Hospital, everybody, after I left and started Sparsh Hospital, my colleagues at Manipal said, hey, great life, man. Here we have to salute the CEO all the time and beg him for this and that. Now you got your own hospital. You're so lucky you don't have to do any of these things. I was telling him, when you are working for some other hospital, the only person you have to salute to and beg with is the CEO. But when it's in your own enterprise, you're doing that with every employee of yours. So you are not a leader is not a gunda or a boss. A leader is the one who works the hardest. The leader is one who inspires everybody. He needs to harness the powers of each one of them. And you are only a custodian of the organization. You are not the organization itself. And these things have to be drilled down deep inside for one to understand. Of course, one has to follow the due process. One has to systematically understand what entrepreneurship is all about. You have to follow the due process. How do you form an entity? Do you want to be a private limited company? Do you want to be a proprietary? Do you want to have partners in doing this? Do you want to have equity? How do you register this? How do you go? Medical schools or any schools, any technical schools don't teach you this. This is all fresh learning. And one thing I can tell you for sure, every member who's sitting here in this audience is capable and more capable than anybody else to understand this and do it. If somebody can slog through those medical school books and get through, they're intelligent enough to understand anything on earth. They just have to have the mindset to be dwelling into these things. When you start an organization, there are certain rules which are non-negotiable. That's what you have to, it's your own making. You have to see what is closest to your heart. I will not have any legal non-compliance. If that is the rule, that's what you have to set out to do. Just a small deviation, just a small encroachment, just a small thing to do, I can tell you for sure, as an entrepreneur, your 24 hours is never enough and you've got enough battles to fight. You don't want to be fighting a legal battle and forgetting the main job why you're doing an enterprise. You do not want to be, even if it takes a year more, never step into a problematic situation where you have to fight. Sooner or later, you'll have to fight the legal battle. Don't believe and depend on the influences available or the money power available. Law will catch up sooner or later. Statutory compliances, well-defined work ethics, integrity, that could be a non-negotiable. I do not mind working with somebody who is not intelligent in the organization, rather than work with somebody who is extremely smart but hugely lacks integrity. I do not want to be watching my back 24/7 and keeping myself awake at night wondering what this guy is doing with my organization. Harassment is something which we don't tolerate at our organization. The seniors harassing the juniors or anything else. There's no more an issue of time management. All of us know that time is valuable. When you're an entrepreneur, you will do your time management. What's more important is energy management. Are you having the same smile, same clarity of thinking from the morning you started till the night when you go to bed? Because quite often in an organization, you make mega decisions, maybe at the fag end of the day. Have you got the clarity of thought? What I mean by that is, have you been able to maintain that energy level, which means, are you healthy? Do you take care of your health? Do you do all that exercises which are important? All that little eating habits, sleeping habits, all that are taken care of. Don't be a maverick and trying to say that I don't sleep, I sleep only 4 hours a night does not make a great entrepreneur. The man who can make the right decisions whenever he's awake makes a right entrepreneur. Whom are we doing it for? What are we doing it for? Do we want to be academic? Do you want to be a corporate? Do you want to be a charity? You want to be research? These are the thoughts one needs to look deep into and say, this is what I want to be. And that's what you want to chase. You can be not just one, you can be more than one also. You're most welcome to be more than one. But you need to say, I want to be this. When you define it, a leader defines it, everybody else knows this is what you stand for. If you are mixed up, everybody is pulling you in different directions. Of course, anybody will tell you, you want to get a loan, you want to get people to invest in you, you need to have all these statutory requirements, but do them with great genuinity. Don't do it because you want to get something and manipulate it what suits the financials and then do it. Then you are a slave of it for a long time to come. It's so important to get this right. Hospital like a hotel, Mahesh Nalwad is just saying, accessibility is important. If you do it in a completely commercial area and you are not able to cater to the people's parking and coming in and seeing you, it's also not such a good thing. As of today, a semi-residential area is pretty important. The surrounding, you cannot be doing it in an industrial hub with a lot of noise. Size of the property, your vision, your scale, and all that is important to be crystallized. You're going to be doing a green field, you're going to be doing a brown field, or you want to take over a ready hospital. What suits you, your pocket, your vision, your thoughts have to be very clear before you do all these things. A single specialty, multi-speciality, these are all very big decisions. I'm just pushing through the slides, but each one of them will take weeks of your thought process to get there. It all depends on what you want to be. Who are your role models? As individuals, as an institution, you want to be like X, Y, or Z, then you know that that is the direction you head into. I can tell you the hospitals of tomorrow are all going to be procedure-based. When you're talking about procedure-based, you need more procedure rooms, more intensive cares, more operation theaters. It's not going to be about keeping patients for cough, cold, or fever. Most of that comes in preventive. So you have to get your ratios right. And these ratios change every decade. The new challenges, the way healthcare is delivered, the speed at which you send patients home. Today we are talking about sending knee replacement patients home the same day. Do you really require humongous number of beds, or do you require more procedure rooms and great techniques to control the pain and send them home early? I was mentioning in a meeting yesterday that there are 240 surgeries done, major surgeries done in a day in a 200-bedded hospital called Hospital for Special Surgeries. More number of surgical procedures than the number of beds because they send them home on the same day. And that is the kind of efficiency is what is going to make us cost effective and even remotely think of doing Ayushman Bharat. It is not possible otherwise. Flexibility and expandability is a very, very important thing in a hospital setup. Have your architecture and infrastructure in such a way that you will be able to change with times. ICUs have to be converted. Single rooms can be converted to double rooms to single rooms. Isolation has become a very big issue today with the quality-centric healthcare. All these things become very, very important. energy efficient, able to isolate. So this infrastructure is a big field. Unless you put your head deep into it, you will not be able to get this right, and it has to suit you. You need to visit many places to see what works best and which is the most efficient of all of them. Your town requirement may be very different from other towns' requirement. Let me skip a few of these things. And in a hospital situation, every industry has got its own requirement, but a hospital situation, light and air are the essence of well-being, and you need to have light and air. And for that, you need to do a construct which is in a H or a Y or a L shaped, where every room, every corridor gets light and air. And if it is a non-linear hospital, you have got major challenges. If you are inheriting that, you need a lot of skylights in between just to illuminate. And most importantly, I don't want you to for a minute think that the doctor is the only important person in the hospital. Doctor is only one part of the hospital. When you change yourself from being a doctor, self-centered human being, to an entrepreneur looking after everybody, you will realize that every member is as important as each other, and each one of these people are so critical. Marketing and branding. It seems to be a bad word in medical profession, the marketing and branding. Old times were the ones when a doctor would start in a small town, have a good practice, build, put on 5 beds. When his practice gets better, 10 and 15 and 20. There was a slow growth. His popularity, his patients, all of them grow together. And today it doesn't happen like that. You cannot even survive with this very small unit. You need a minimum size to put the equipment into place, everything into place. When you put all that stuff into place and borrow the money for that, you need to succeed quickly. Does not mean you do wrong propaganda. You need to put out what is your soul, what is your capacity, what is your ability. That is more branding. And what is internal, what is your ethos, what is your philosophy, what is your culture, what is your capability, what is your skill sets. These cannot be kept inside the box and you expect people to find out over the next 20 years. It does not happen like that. The modern need is you have to externalize whatever is internal. But at the same time, if you do something which is not inherently you, and if you advertise and do all that, and if they come to your hospital and find out that's not what you're delivering, that's the biggest letdown. You need to be prepared internally, you should be strong internally, culturally, and you should put that out, and that's what branding is all about. And that's so important, and one needs to accept. You need a bouncing board. You cannot think you are the doyen and you don't need anybody's advice. It's a very lonely place out there when you are the leader, and you need somebody with whom you can bounce off your ideas, reflect on them, see right or wrong, because you could easily go into a lane which is not familiar and end up in big problems. Somebody told me this. Your personal staff becomes so important for your efficiency. If you have the same secretary, same driver, and same people helping you out with your data and statistics over a long period of time, your efficiency is fantastic. Every 6 months they change, your efficiency goes down. You have no idea how dependent leaders are on their secretaries and on the people around them. But my secretary and my people keep telling me, sir, you reward all the devotees, you forget the priest who's sitting with you. And that's of course something which you should never do, and take care of them. And some things are beyond you. You need specialized people. You need finance team, you need a HR team. All you need to know as an entrepreneur is to ask the right questions. And right questions are important, but the expertise has to come from outside. Heartaches. There are going to be plenty of heartaches for sure as an entrepreneur. And I started Sparsh. I had got this fantastic plastic surgeon as my partner who will be with me, and we designed the hospital. Just 3 weeks before we launched the hospital, this plastic surgeon said, sorry, I can't join you. I'm off. I'm not going to be able to join you. And I was heartbroken because I had so much of dependency on this guy. I came home crestfallen, and I said, this man had come into the picture 3 months before, and he vanished just weeks before this hospital was launched. And I was really saying, what do I do from here? And these kind of moments are going to be plenty as an entrepreneur. And my wife Meena told me, why are you acting so stupid? Did you start this enterprise saying this plastic surgeon is going to be joining you? You started this enterprise even before even this man came across. So You don't do an enterprise depending on one person or a few people. That's why I say nobody is dispensable. So you give all the respect, all that they need when they are with you. But if they leave you, you have to realize the enterprise can't stop. The organization can't stop. So nobody is indispensable. All are welcome, but nobody is indispensable. And as an entrepreneur, you should have that ability to sleep over a disappointment and come through it comfortably. This is the Krishna Sweets story. I think I'm okay with time, I hope. Yeah. So this Krishna Sweets today is global player. I was meeting him the other day, and he told me some really interesting story. The Ganga Hospital are my friends, Rajshekhar and Raj Sabapati. Both of them had a crisis kind of situation where some of their most important consultants wanted to leave and go and all that. So when sitting and chatting with this Krishna Sweets man, he asked some really, really pertinent question. Apparently, he used to sell sweets. Today he's in California, to every airport, to everywhere, is the most celebrated sweet store. They had this, he used to put sweet boxes on either side of a cycle and go to every corner and sell sweets. 6 o'clock one circle, 6:30 one more circle, 7 o'clock one more circle. That one day he got a big order for Diwali. And he said, somebody liked the sweets, we want to do it to our factory, let's give a big order to this guy. And this guy was very excited. And he had 2 people who would make sweets back in a small shed where the sweets were made. And when this big order came, 3 days before the Diwali, these 2 people put up the price and said, we are leaving you unless you hike my salary 3 times. And this man was shocked out of his wits because it was his first major delivery of sweets and he had to give it. So he went back home. I thought about it, what do I do now? So next day he went back to these 2 people. He said, I'm happy for you to leave. And these people said, we can't be so unkind to you. We'll do this delivery and then leave. He said, no, I want you to leave today. And both of them were taken off. He went back to this guy who had given the order and said, you had given me an order for 100 boxes, but I can only do 20 boxes. My apologies. And he stepped down, he did the 20 boxes and delivered. He says, this is early part of entrepreneurship. Today is a different ball game. He said from that day, he has never felt insecure. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. And he has built an empire which is quite amazing. And how one needs to be resilient as an entrepreneur, this is the biggest story I can tell you. Personally me, and one of my OT technicians who has been with me since my Manipal days for the last 25 years, he told me, and Vivek knows him, Muniraj told me one day that, sir, you at Manipal times used to be so happy and jovial and nice and happy. These days you're so cribby and not so happy and we never hear any jokes from you. Why, sir? Why? What happened to you? So I thought, really? I'm less happy than what I was? I started thinking about it. And then I discovered why I look less happy in spite of everything one has been able to do. For an entrepreneur, one has to understand that you have 100 ideas in your mind. You've got this 100, you think of fabulous ideas in your mind, and you try very hard to execute them. Only 2 of them get executed, and 2 of them succeed. And everybody says, wow, wow, fantastic, well done. And you get that happiness of those 2 ideas. But the 98 ideas which are cooking inside, which you think are very obvious ideas to succeed, nobody else seems to appreciate and nobody else seems to pick it up and you're not able to execute. Those 98 ideas are the ones which are making you cringe and unhappy. And an entrepreneur has to live with this. Because you may say, why not have only 2 ideas and execute them? Unfortunately, only when you have 100 ideas, you'll get 2 ideas which will succeed. So one needs to live with disappointment as an entrepreneur within. Nobody will be able to see, only you will be able to see them. These are the 7 things, if you do it together, success is guaranteed for any enterprise across the industry. You need to have domain expertise. You need to equipment and infrastructure which is commensurate with your domain expertise, which can be state of art. You need to develop the processes. Each one of them take time, but you need to do all these 7 of them together. You cannot say, I'll do one and then do the other one. It doesn't work like that. You want to succeed, you need to do all of these together. From day one, you need to start inventing processes which will deliver and work. You have to be quality conscious. You should not push away the guy who asks for money to keep quality. You cannot say, I'm losing money, I cannot maintain quality. That is the bane. Innovation, new way of delivering, new way of taking care. Innovation does not mean only what you do in the lab. Innovation is also about patient care. Innovation is about patient satisfaction, how you can make it better. Branding is very important, and branding, true branding, what you really believe in, that needs to be branded. Topmost, and the most important, you should have good governance. You cannot treat the hospital as your backyard or your enterprise as your backyard. You need to respect it. You cannot take a penny out of it. You cannot deviate from statutory compliances, and nothing of the kind. And this was something I think which was very important to convey, and Mr. Bijapur told me that this is something which people want to know, how an entrepreneur can keep up his skill sets. Each one of your doctor entrepreneurs or your domain expertise, how you can choose. You may not be able to do everything. You have to choose a highly specialized aspect of your specialty as a special interest. And you know, in an enterprise like ours, there are 20 doctors working with you. If they need to respect you, you need to be excellent at something. Even if your domain, you narrow down your domain expertise to very little of it, as long as you're extraordinary, as long as you're the expert in that area, you will get that respect what you need to run an organization. And for me, I used to do pediatric orthopedics as my special interest till I became an entrepreneur. And I did it after I became an entrepreneur, but I found it very demanding. And now I do joint replacements. Joint replacements is my passion at the moment. And even today, after so many units and so many branches, the most number of surgeries done at Sparsh Hospital are done by me personally. And that's the passion, and I do it only in a specific area. And joint replacement is my area. One needs to choose that. Ability to multitask. Ability to multitask. The best example is a politician, how he multitasks. There are some things you can learn from a politician for sure, and that is the ability to multitask and compartmentalize. You're going from a decision to the next decision, meeting to the next meeting, and next minute you're looking at a patient and diagnosing, and then going and treating the patient and operating. One needs to compartmentalize your mind, and when you go home, you should know how to switch off. This comes out of great practice, and one needs to compartmentalize and effectively multitask to succeed as an entrepreneur. This is my last slide. This has impacted me the most as a philosophy, as a thought process. We should never forget we are doctors all right, but we are first and foremost citizens of this country. We are part of the community from where we have come and become doctors. We owe it to the community, and community, it's all about living together and helping our fellow men. We never forget that the nobility with which we are inborn and which we cultivate as doctors has to be kept up. These are the 4 quadrants. I'll explain this to you. This is the platform and the purpose. There is a lower quadrant, the lower inner quadrant is the low platform, low purpose. Most people on earth are in this platform. They don't consume too much. They educate themselves. They get a good job, 9-to-5 job. They groom their children well. They contribute to the taxes. They're good people. Don't consume too much. Do a good job. They're in the lower inner quadrant. Most people are existential like that. And lower right quadrant are the people who are altruistic. The Vinoba Bhaves and the Gandhis and everybody else who don't consume the society. They don't need anything. They need a piece of cloth, and they look at the larger good. Their purpose is enormous, and they do not take a large platform to perform. The purpose is enormous, and they are extraordinary people, and they do phenomenal work for the humanity. Then you come to the upper inner quadrant, high platform, low purpose. These are the people who consume the most from Mother Earth, environmentally and in every way from the society. They are the ones who drive the best cars in the town. They are the ones who jet out to the best holidays. They are the ones who make 100 people work. There are 2 people in the house, but 10 people are working in the house. These are the people who are on the high platform, who consume a lot, but they have very low purpose. Their only purpose is how to have fun in life, how to exploit everybody and have fun in life. This is the most dangerous quadrant to be in. And the right hand side is the high platform and the high purpose. That is the most impactful platform one can ever be. And this is where you have a high purpose and you have a high platform. These are the people, the Prime Minister of our country, or the Infosys founder Narayan Murthy, or the Bill Gates of the world are all on the high platform and the high purpose. They say something, the world listens. They have the power of the money, power of the infrastructure, power of the ability to convey and change and make an impact. They are the people in the high platform and high purpose. To end my talk, I should say, bad news for all of us here as doctors. By default, we are already on the high platform. To become the doctors, to become whatever we are, not just doctors, but each one of us here, have already consumed a lot from the society. We have got a great education. We have achieved a lot of things through extracting good education. All our patients have sacrificed a lot. We have learned a lot. We are already on a high platform. And if you do not make an attempt to move towards that right top platform, we are going to be the biggest liability for the society. We have to think beyond, and we have to move to that high platform, high purpose. Even if you are in the inner part of the right top quadrant, you're okay. But you need to be in that quadrant even just to stay not a liability for the society. The society looks up to us and we need to deliver. We have problems, challenges, but we have no excuses. Nobody is as important as us in a community and society who make an impact, and we need to deliver this for our society, for our community, and for our country. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you so very much, Dr. Sharan Patil. Simply put, you are Tony Robbins for doctor entrepreneurs. When I thought of someone who is a skilled surgeon and a great founder running, successfully scaling, to share that idea with us, I couldn't think of anybody better than Dr. Sharan Patil, and he's here with us for the last 2 days, being a very busy clinician. Thank you so very much for your presence and your insights. Can we have just 2 quick questions, please? If anyone wants to ask, then we will move to Anuj Jindal, and then the panel. I will request the panel to be moderated by Dr. Sharan Patil. That will be an interesting panel. Ask me anything in hospital management. Karthik Deshpande is doing something very interesting, and Dr. Pawan Patil, all of them will be assisting Dr. Sharan Patil to answer your queries. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, my question is, sir, I have 2 questions for you, sir. First one is systems and processes in the hospital, or for that matter, any healthcare system, in relations to cost-cutting measures. Systems and processes in place within the hospital in relation to cost-cutting measures. Point number 1, sir. Question number 2 is getting accredited, not just labeling and not getting just a certificate, but complying and making it as your own culture, whatever the standards being mentioned, what are the global practices being done, how that is going to help in maintaining the system and processes, in turn make your hospital a sustainable model. Not just don't get accredited only to get the certificate or get the government schemes or insurances. So accreditation is teaching us systems and processes. So costing is very important, which
Sure.
I require support from you, sir.
Sure, I think that's a great question, really. So, simply putting it, cost cutting does not, if cost cutting happens at the cost of quality, it's not cost cutting. You're just cutting. It's not, one has to understand, domain expertise comes a very important aspect of this. When you're doing cost cutting, if you have the domain expertise, you know where to stop and how to deliver it. Yeah. So what I strongly believe in is, if you take shortcuts, you will end up, and I think Ajay was saying that cost cutting itself has got a major liability. When you do cost cutting, you compromise in many ways. The differentiation here is, some things are done for the need of the patient, some things are done for the luxury of the doctor. If you can cut the luxury of the doctor, you're okay with it, but you cannot compromise on the outcome and the patient care. That's so important. And I think that needs to be understood very clearly. Second thing you're saying about accreditation. Some of the designs, the way the accreditation happens, have got flaws. But the true accreditation makes you more efficient, makes your quality better, and you need to truly believe in it, and it will improve your processes and only make you better with time. And you can fight with the authorities what is the right thing to do and wrong thing to do, but one needs to embrace accreditations with both hands and needs to believe in it. Only then you will do it the right way. And there's no compromise on that. And if it is MCI regulations for a medical college, can't be anything more stupid than that. But if it is, you're talking about an NABH accreditation, right from supply chain to cleanliness, to dispensation of waste, to everything else, you might as well do it the right way. In the longer run, it will do wonderful things for you. Yeah. So
I request Dr. Vivek Patil to honor Dr. Sharan Patil, Chief of Orthopedic Services, founder Sparsh Groups of Hospitals. At the same time, also request Dr. Bijapurji also to do the honors. Dr. Sharan Patil will also be available for the panel discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, please make note.